Hey everybody, this is my first YouTube video. I thought I'd document how to do some really large floating shelves. I have to give credit to another YouTuber that when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to buy them or build them. My floating shelves are 8 feet long, so I didn't really want to buy those, and I wanted to figure out if I could build them. So I found a YouTube. So the credit to how I'm going to build these goes to that other YouTuber. But the other thing I wanted to say is, like, this is my very first YouTube video. And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on woodworking and just do it yourself stuff. And, I have a full-time job. I love what I do full-time. I just had a house built, and it's a farmhouse. I moved into it in October and have a lot of projects. And so I thought in this first YouTube video, well, let me say, why am I doing YouTube videos? Why? I'm a single dad, not by choice. So sometimes, I don't get to see my kids as much as I used to, which sucks, but I have extra time on my hands, and so I started to do some woodworking projects, and sometimes it's lonely. So, I just kind of, in 2023, thought, well, what can I do with my spare time? And, God said, well, maybe you can help others. And I have this passion for woodworking, or, I'm an amateur at best. So I felt like, to kind of start this video out, let me just show you the tools that I'm using. So, when you look at some of these other YouTube videos, these woodworking guys, they got CNC machines, they got a ton of stuff that they're already, it feels like miles ahead. And I'm just like, well, let me just, for the sake of giving you guys confidence on what you can do. And again, I'm an amateur at best, but let me just show you, this is my garage. Okay, if I can kind of show you what we got here. So I got a few tools laid out there. We'll go through those in a second. I have a miter saw that a colleague at work gave me. And I had a toolbox here where I keep all my stuff in there. And then I just have some some good old fashioned sawhorses and some plywood. And that's it. I really want to get a table saw. I really want to build kind of on this back wall a whole, usable workstation, workbench. I'm going to do that at some point. But let me just show you the tools that I'm using. So, we have a good old hand sander, a mouse. I think that's what this one's called. I have a cordless power saw here. I have a belt sander that I actually use to sand down a high spot on my floors before the flooring guys came in. Just a regular drill. I don't even have an impact driver yet, but this is just a regular drill that I use for both drilling and fastening. Nail gun, more for 18 gauge, just finishing nails. Not like framing or siding or anything like that. Just, I think they're 18 gauge nails or whatever they are. Don't quote me, but I have a level, a little level, and when I'm running out of patience for paint drying, a Wagner heat gun. I have a shop vac that I use for some dust collection. I hook it up to the back of the miter saw. It does a pretty good job. It's good for dust collection, good for cleaning my garage floors. So at some point I'm going to turn this into a shop. I don't know when or how that's going to work, but a couple other little, keep my fasteners down there. Again, I just moved into this house in October. It was a 2-year project. It was crazy, but for the purpose of that, I just wanted to show you kind of where I'm starting. I guess I could show you one or two of the projects that I've worked on so far that I built. I'll just show you those real quick. to give you a baseline of, I built this coffee table. That was courtesy of Anna White. She's got a great YouTube channel. Really, really nice, easy to understand, simple tools. But I built this and painted it white. I did all this. I did this chase. I wish I could, maybe if I go this way, you can see a little bit better. Yeah, this chase, I did all in shiplap. So all the way to the ceiling. I cut the sides on 45-degree corners. Took like, I don't know. Those are all cut on 45s. And then I did some wood filler on the side, and then, kills, and then a bare white paint. I did these barn doors. Fun project. A lot of prep work. When I do the floating shelves, I'll show you exactly. I'm going to prep them the same way, the floating shelves, as I did these barn doors. I hung this myself. And that was a pretty fun project. It turned out pretty good. You got to make sure that this is super level at the top, or the barn doors will slide when you don't want them to. What else? I learned how to finish when I painted my my island. It came in a raw color, and let me see if I can get a better. There we go. I painted that to hopefully look like a factory finish. That took a long time to get that right, because I had no idea what I was doing. So I have a little bit more experience now on finishing wood. Still a long way to go on, I don't know, a lot that I haven't done yet. But one day at a time, right? So that's kind of a starting point. And then we're gonna get into building the floating shelves. And the reason I wanted to do floating shelves is the project I'm working on right now for my kids' playroom. But, I didn't want to buy them. The ones that I'm going to build, they're 3 inches thick and they're like 8 feet long. How do you support that? So we're going to get into all that on that video. Looking forward to the adventure with you guys. So continuing with the floating shelf, large floating shelf, let me just show you what your support system should look like. So these are 2x2s, and this all depends on kind of the width of the floating shelf that you want to make. I'm using 3/4 inch plywood for the top and bottom. Actually, it's 3/4. No, it's not. I'm using a 1x12 for the top, a 1x12 for the bottom, and then these 2x2s. And then obviously this gets attached to the wall. And then this piece over here will just slide into it. So in the time lapse, you saw me building this carcass right here. And then this slides right into the support system once it's on the wall. And it's really heavy duty, the support system. And the other one that I built is really sturdy. And this is pretty heavy. So you're going to want to use really long lag bolts into studs. So let me show you what those look like. So these are the screws right here. They are 5" by 1/4". You know, the hex head screws. And then those go into here. Okay, so right into the studs. And then that carcass just slides right on top. And it's a really strong system. So we'll go back into, if you want to make it, so the total thickness here of the carcass is about 3 inches. So, pretty sure, let me just double check. Yep, 3 inches. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to finish the floating shelf. So one of the things I've done already, obviously when you cut this, you want to get your edges as close as you can so there's no gaps. But you know, I had a little gap here, a few other gaps here, so I'm going to use 80 grit sandpaper on my Ryobi, you know, mouse here. Just 80 grit sandpaper. I'll hit it with 80. I'll put in a little bit more of this, you know, got this at Home Depot, plastic wood. If it's a little thick after you use it the first time, add some water to it. It makes it a little bit more workable. I'll hit all the, you know, the little, less than a 1/16 of an inch, 1/32 maybe. Hit all those, sand it down again, and then we'll get into exactly how I finish the floating shelves to make them look like a factory finish with almost glass. It almost looks as shiny as glass when you're done, or with what's called sand or sealer. But we'll get into all that, and I'm going to hit the time lapse now and just continue finishing this particular shelf. show you how I do it. Put it on there. It's hard with one hand. Just kind of go through here. See, closes that in. Then you want to get your knots too. I mean, you could buy, this is kind of the, I don't know, low grade or medium grade piece of wood that I got at Home Depot. I mean, it's just, for me, it's just cheaper to fill in the knots. They have a higher grade there, but it was, I don't know, you guys make the decision there when you're deciding what you want to do. But filling in these knots isn't really that hard. See? It doesn't take that long to dry. I mean, I'll probably let it dry overnight, not really in any hurry, but more for this big one here. You guys can see that okay. I mean, a couple spots. All right, I'm going to hit the rest of this. Okay, I have all the wood putty on. I'm getting ready to sand everything with 120 grit. I can kind of, well, let's just do it.
Day, I only find it slips away to gray. The hours they bring me pain.
All right, so this is what it looks like kind of after 220. It should look almost like a solid block of wood. you know. And these aren't actually gaps. These are actually part of the wood grain. Looks like a gap, but it's not. And when it's painted, you won't see any of this. At least I hope so. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So all the wood filler's done, super smooth. We're gonna put on some yep. You really don't feel any bumps. No. Pretty good. Okay. So we're ready for some sander sealer. Again, that just locks in the wood grain, so you can't really see it. 3 coats of sander sealer, and then we're going to be ready for paint.
Tangerine, living reflections from a dream. I was her love, she was my queen, and now 1,000 years between. Thinking how it used to be. Does she still remember times like these?
Okay, so that's just 1 coat of sander sealer. Just starting to dry. Looks blotchy when you put the first coat on, but by the time you have 3 coats on, you can kind of see what you're looking for. It's like glass, kind of. Okay, back after the 2nd and 3rd coat. Hey everybody, gonna finish up the floating shelf project. I want to show you what 3 coats of sander sealer looks like, and I want to show you exactly what it looks like, this stuff that I used. Literally called sander sealer. Somewhat expensive, got it at, I think it was one of the big box stores. But I think it does a great job. So if I can kind of show you what this looks like, you can see the sheen. This is 3 coats, and I used 220 grit sandpaper in between each coat, just really lightly. Some of the times when you put this on, it bubbles here and there. You make sure that you wet your brush when you apply it. It will help. But you can see the sheen that's on there. Like I said, it looks kind of like glass. Let's see down here. So 3 coats each side. Now we're going to get into 2 coats of white, and then probably a coat or 2 of poly, and then we'll hang it on the wall. So let's get started. One thing I'll mention is I'm going to use just a regular brush to apply the paint. It's a shelf, so, you know, it's going to be covered. You know, it's not a super decorative, kind of in the middle of your living room piece of furniture or piece of wood that a lot of people will see. I mean, they'll see it, but, you know, it's not a staple. What I used on the barn doors was this. It's called a critter. and it works really well in terms of the finish. You don't see any brush marks. Looks really good. You will get a lot of overspray. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of using a spray gun. But I have an air compressor that I hook that up to, and then it works. It just does a really nice job on the finish. And again, like it's a little colder here now. I can't spray it outside. I don't really want to get overspray. There are affordable tent or spray booths on Amazon. They're just like tents that you can put up. I am going to get one of those at some point. But for the sake of this project, I'm just going to use a brush, and it'll turn out just fine.
And I do.
All right, so let me just show you the first coat. As you can see, you know, the goal was really not to be able to see where the edge of this, you know, 1x3 and the 1x12 come together. And you really can't. So it looks like one solid continuous piece of, like a block of wood. That's really what you're going for. So that's one coat. It's a bare flat paint. And then I just took a rag and just went underneath here for any drip marks or anything like that for when I flip it over and do that side. But I mean, I'll put another coat on here. And again, you can see the brush marks a little bit, but I'm not overly worried about it. I mean, again, when I do some more barn doors, I'll use that Critter. You can buy that Critter sprayer on Amazon. And then there are a lot of questions on what kind of air compressor, you know, will run that machine. I got this, what is it called? Porter cable, 150 PSI, works fine. You know, you can get ones that are a lot bigger, but you know, whatever, does the job. All right, so I'll be back after the second coat, and then we'll hang it up. Okay, welcome to the final day of installing the large floating shelf. It's going to go on this wall right here. And we'll just do a time lapse to kind of show you guys how to do it. Remember, we're looking for the studs. The support system is going to go directly into the studs. And then we are going to slide the shelf directly into the support system. So here we go.
Used to be. Does she still remember times like these? To think of us again, and I do.
There we go. Getting somewhere. That's tight. There we go. Done. Probably better to do that with two people.